Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the InnoWise Scale pitching competitions. It's a pleasure to be here today. I want to give a special thanks to the EIT communities for inviting me as Patricia and Revolve to support the organization of this series of events. Yesterday, we had a very interesting session with the EIT manufacturing event, and today we are very pleased to present the work of the EIT Climate-KIC community. So today's event opens with a key question. Is the world ready to go fully water circular by 2050? There's few reports that are talking about the way forward, how we can actually ensure the methodologies, the regulations, the economic incentives that can really take us to the next level of water circularity that we need, facing the water scarcity in the European and Mediterranean countries particularly. So this is the debate question for the EIT Climate-KIC pitching event today. We will have different experts providing some insights into this debate. We have the solutions providers that are actually bringing some tangible examples on the ground, and we are very looking forward to hear from them what they are providing. And we have the problem holder of these competitions, which actually presented a challenge to really try to bring this knowledge together. My colleague Eva from the EIT Climate-KIC community will be explaining much more on the program and will be providing more details about what you will be seeing today. But for now, I just wanted to give an overview of what you can expect on today's session. So over the next 2 hours and a half, you will be able to see a different examples of the way forward for water circularity. Just a quick reminder that we are live on YouTube. Some of you are following us on social media as well, so feel free to ask questions on the comments or posts on social media, and my colleagues Martina and Cora will be taking them here, so we can take them on the stage. So without more delay, I would like to give the floor to Eva, who has been really helpful, and she's part and project manager of the EIT Climate community. So Eva, the floor is yours to present what brings us here today.
Thank you, Patricia, and good morning, everyone. Can you please just confirm that you can see my screen? Patricia?
Oh, we had it here, but I think something happened and it's been removed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes. The screen, did you see when I shared it?
Yes, we could see it, but now it doesn't appear anymore.
Yes, because I'm going to share it again. And just please confirm that you can see it. We always learn something every day, which is the key for innovation. So after this small interruption with technology, I would like to welcome you all for this celebration of water innovation today. I'm really excited to be here today and welcoming all the participants. My name is Eva Anyadi. I'm an EIT Climate-KIC Water Scarcity Project Manager. This pitching competition is organized within the context of the EIT Water Scarcity community, which is delivered by 4 of the EIT's knowledge and innovation communities. EIT stands for the European Institute for Innovation and Technology. It is led by EIT Food with the collaboration of EIT Climate-KIC, the organization I represent, EIT Manufacturing, and EIT Digital. We receive collaboration from external organizations such as Athena Research Center, Biosul, and TU Delft. Today's pitching session has been co-organized with Athena Research Center, who are going to be represented today by Professor Phoebe Konduri, who is going to give us a wonderful keynote speech later during this event. Climate-KIC, the organization I represent, is working with citizens, cities, regions, and countries to deliver net zero goals by 2030 using system innovation as a tool. This initiative applies a multi-sectoral approach bringing together, working with experts, organizing educational activities through the Water Academy in the form of trainings and in-person workshops, and supporting entrepreneurs. We have also reached out to over 15 million people through our awareness activities during the last 3 years. Today, we are focusing on our support to water entrepreneurs under the InnoWise Scale activities, which aims to support the scale up in their process of scaling up their innovation while de-risking the adoption of innovations by the end users. In the last 3 months, we have been working with 35 scale-ups who applied to take part in our program. They received mentoring, training sessions, and endless support from the whole community who's working within this initiative. And after an in-person event in Bilbao where we all met and the solution providers met the problem holders and had numerous occasions for networking, we are finally at the stage when we will give out our prizes. Yesterday, you could see the pitching competition led by EIT Manufacturing with the end user ENCE, which is a pulp and paper producer in Spain. Today, we will focus on the utilities sector represented by TELAP, the municipal water supply and storage company from the area of Filaia Horiarte, from the region of Thessaloniki in northern Greece. And next week, you can attend the sessions led by EIT Food and EIT Digital with problem holders such as Familia Torres, a winemaker from Spain, the municipality of Nisyros, a small Greek island, and Cadagua. The solution providers are competing for wonderful prizes. We have 2 prizes which will be decided upon by our jury, which is composed by Matt Rolls from Specific Energy, Oliver Pokering from Xylem, Stella Apostolaki from the American College of Greece, and Wayne Bryan, an investor from Burnt Island Ventures. The 2 prizes, the first prize is for 12,000 euros equity-free cash, and the second prize is for 10,000 euros. All of these prizes are decided upon the innovation and the impact of the solutions the companies are showing us today. We also have a special prize, which is going to be decided by Thomas Seitaridis, representing our problem holder, TELAP. And this special prize will be received by only one of the companies pitching today. And they will receive 30,000 euros worth of voucher from us, from our initiative, to use in a demo testing in the facilities of TELAP in 2023. And after this short presentation, I would like to give back the words to Patricia and wish good luck for everyone. This is a wonderful time for all of us to come together to find solutions for water scarcity. And I'm looking forward to listening to all the pitches and see you later today announcing the results. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eva. That was a great overview. I would like to continue the event with the problem holder that brings us today here as well. We have Thomas Seitaridis, Chemical Engineering at DEIAF, and they are the problem holder of the InnoWise Scale EIT Climate-KIC pitching session. So I would like to give the floor to Thomas. He will be sharing an insightful keynote presentation that will give us more details on the case study, the challenge they face, and how the solutions providers can contribute towards this. So Thomas, welcome, and thank you for being here. I will let you know when we can see your presentation on the screen, but feel free to give us an introduction.
Okay, we'll start sharing my screen now. First of all, I would like to thank all of you and the EIT community and also the InnoWise Scale team for letting the municipal water supply and sewage company of Filaia Horiartis to participate in such a prestigious program. I'd like to start that we all know that water is a vital resource and mostly recognized as a fundamental human right. But if we take in consideration the increasing water needs and the drought that Europe faced this year, we also have to agree that is not an inexhaustible resource. Europe faced this year its worst drought in decades and led to a risk of a new economic crisis along with high energy costs, the food crisis, and also, of course, the war in Ukraine. Water forced a drought that led rivers like Rhine or Danube, among others, to dry up. And that is also kind of ironic because rivers and canals are also included in the European Union's plan to the shift to a green economy because of the lower polluting factors. In France, I once read this summer that 100 municipalities had no running water on the taps, and the utilities there were thinking about restriction in water consumption. This means that Europe is losing a key source of energy in the sector, losing the waterways of an important part of trade among rivers and canals, including the transport of fuel and also affecting tourism. A few years ago, Harding, in his article Tragedy of the Commons, also used the example of an old English village. I think that common land is available to all inhabitants who own animals and were able to use this land for personal income. In the absence of enforced and low land use, Harding warns that the villagers are expected to continue to add animals even after it becomes apparent that their common resource will be distinguished. Although global environmental problems are more complex than an English village, there are important parallels between the causes of some environmental problems we're facing. Among them is water scarcity, of course, and the hardest community tragedy. Ellen Ostrom, on the other hand, proposal was that both the state regulation or making water sector work in terms of private economy is not only the solution. The solution can come with the inclusion of all the stakeholders in the use of the water. That is very clear to us now that the drought that Europe faced this year is because we tend to use water in a way that is not sustainable. And that is also part of the common day reality in most of the water utilities in Greece. Our water utility here in Protiatis has 13 people working here. You can see how many of us are working here, and is serving water to about 20,000 people. And we have a telemetry system with 27 local stations, 10 water drills, 2 water springs, and 2 water filtration units. And we also have a very organized laboratory for measuring many physical and chemical and biological parameters of the water we deliver. The main areas of interest in all of the water utilities in Greece is the preservation of water resources, water loss minimization, which is the first step we have to take, and water safety in the supply chains. That is pretty much what we're doing, and that is our obligation by law. As a very essential part of the ecosystem, water is a key element in a so-called civil protection plan, and that is where we are focusing at the moment. That was that table here shows what really the problem is it was in our utility. 65% of non-billable water, non-revenue water. So thus this conclusion led us to first understanding the problem, collect the available data, upgrade and install telemetry stations in order to get more data and focus on data-driven decisions, and prioritize the problems and focus on maybe on specific areas. From the last 4 years, we have conducted 4 environmental impact studies, 4 hydraulic studies, and 3 underground water studies, upgraded most of our pumping stations, and installed 2 water filtration units. And we also have a very organized laboratory for measuring many physical and chemical and biological parameters of the water we deliver. The main areas of interest in all of the water utilities in Greece is the preservation of water resources, water loss minimization, water safety, and water 18 telemetry stations, and also installed and operate 2 water treatment units. This second step led us to the first financing of this authority with 3.5 million euros for replacing a 22-kilometer existing but very old water distribution network. And we have a grant from the Ministry of Interior for 11.5 million euros for replacing another 85 kilometers of water distribution networks. And money keeps coming in, but you have to be focused in order to be prepared to get this money and well spend it. And also participation in InnoWise Scale programs for 2021 and 2022. And we are at the moment conducting a hydraulic study for replacing the remaining 30 kilometers of the existing distribution network. Here are 2 pictures that I call I'm very proud about this project. This on the left side is the first replacement of water distribution network. The build was in 2020, and the work has started to develop by the early a few months ago. So we have 22 kilometers of water distribution network, 1,500 water supply connections, 2,500 smart water meters, and the reduction expected is about 70% of the current water losses. On the right side is one of the biggest in Greece iron and manganese removal plant. It was constructed in 2 years ago and solved a problem that existed about 10 years and led people to restriction concerning water consumption. Last year, we participated also in InnoWise Scale, and the demo case was awarded to Phipson, a Spanish company, and we're about to introduce Talos from the Greek ancient robot that used to supervise Crete Island, telemetry-assisted liquid optical sensors. We will install 1,100 meters of fiber optic cable inside the pipeline, polyethylene pipeline, and we will try to locate water leakages and also manage the existing pipeline. This is a very good project for us, and it's about to begin by the end of this week. So we have about 4 days to complete it. Pretty much that is the common daily program in most of the water utilities in Greece, and I give floor to Patricia.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Fantastic. So now that we have laid the groundwork, we have 7 innovators today that will pitch their innovative solutions to address the challenges of the problem holder they have, as he just presented. So before we present their videos, I would like to thank our jury members. Today we have here with us Wayne Barnes. Wayne is general partner with Barnes Island Ventures. We have also Matt Rolls, Vice President of Business Development EMEA, Specific Energy. We have Stella Apostolaki, Assistant Professor from DERE, the American College of Greece, and Oliver Pukerin, Innovation Manager at Shilem Europe. So we have a high-level jury panel to help us make the decisions towards the end of this event. They will be announcing the winners and the conditions of the awards. So stay with us, because now we are going to start presenting the first video of the innovator, which will be SatGeo. And then we will give 4 minutes to the jury members to engage on a Q&A with the actual representative of the company, so they can answer any questions or doubt that might arise after the video. So let's try to keep them short and sweet, so we have time for the 7 innovators to present their work. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we are SatGeo, a team of experienced professionals. Till now we won 3 accelerator programs and 1 contract with Sofia Water, part of Veolia. In 2021, SatGeo is the big winner of the Innovation Starter Accelerator, and also SatGeo is a big winner of Climate-KIC Accelerator grant and winner of grant from Municipal Guarantee Fund for Small and Medium Enterprises. It is not only a problem of utilities, but also a problem of humanity. 4 billion people already live in water-scarce areas, while at the same time utilities around the globe lose up to 70% of all distributed water. We can help. We can save water by finding unreported leaks using satellite images, data analysis and GIS software. And why would we do this? Solution benefit: reduce real water losses by 1.5 million meter cubic per year, increase efficiency of leakage streams by 30%, save water resources, save electricity, and decrease CO2 emissions. Decreasing the losses in water supply system require finding leaks, especially hidden ones. Conventional method. It's time-consuming using ground teams with specialized equipment, drones. They cover limited area and require special licenses. Satellites. This method gives excellent results in dry areas under the low level of water losses, and it is not efficient for most regions in Europe. And here comes SatGeo. Our method is time-saving. One single image could cover up to 3,000 square kilometers, and all this information comes in user-friendly software with GIS. We analyze the potential leak points and decided where to send teams with equipment. This is our major advantage. Our strategy includes key partnership with utilities and important organizations in the sector like associations, external sales channels. We encourage early adoption by offering the first utility to become a co-founder and customize the software development. It is also a good business opportunity. Our target share is 1% in Bulgaria by the end of 2023 and 0.2% global market share by 2027. Our target utility companies are those which incur more than 35% water losses. This year we have 2 contracts in Bulgaria, and our target clients are utilities in Europe. Based on this partnership, we quickly reached 2 contracts and 1 accelerator program by the end of 2022, and expected to have break-even point by the end of 2023. Once reaching the break-even point, we would quickly scale afterwards. Till now, we saved 1.5 million meter cubic water. It can cover the water needs per year for a town with 40,000 people population. And if someone could do it in Bulgaria, it would be us. We have success because we have a great team. Biljana is highly experienced manager with 15 plus years experience. Silvia is our guru of GIS satellite images processing with more than 20 plus years experience, and me, a senior leakage engineer with 30 plus years professional experience. Thank you.
I'm afraid we don't see with us the representative from SatGeo today, so I would like to give the floor. Okay, I think we now have someone from SatGeo here, so I will put him in the transmission together with the junior members.
Hi everyone.
Hi Nikolai, thanks for your presentation. Can I start by asking how the system is better than the alternative satellite leak detection systems that are available already? Say, for example, Suez, Utilis, and Astera that are quite well known in the market. You claim that you are better in climates outside of dry with larger leakage. Can you back that up, please?
Yes, I will explain. It is combination within 3 high specialized knowledges. Biljana is highly specialized on management of software for water supply systems. We have been working together with Biljana and Silvia for Ministry of Regional Development, the biggest 2 GIS projects for Bulgaria for all water supply systems, irrigation systems, and so on. Silvia is very high specialized on GIS and satellite images, and I have been director before, let's say 10 years, I have been director of a big British company by water, dealing only with leakage reduction projects in United Kingdom and also in Bulgaria, many projects. And even we had one project during that time in Thessaloniki. It was energy efficiency project for helping to EIT. And our combination, we are different than well-known companies. They tried to work in Europe, and there was no success because they are really very good and they are using different approach, because we know very well all spectrum of the system, how the water system is working. We are working in cooperation because water supply system is a live system. Our competitors normally are giving 1 or 2 times per year all the picture, but we are working, let's say, every day, and we are concentrated on the most bigger problems of the water company. That's why we have success with the 2 contracts that we have by now.
Thank you.
Hi, Nikolai. Just a quick one from me. Can your software package integrate with other digital platforms? A lot of utilities are using at various stages of a digital transformation, whether that's network management, demand management, or pressure management. Can your data be easily integrated with existing platforms?
I think so. Really, because I have experience in United Kingdom, a lot of projects, many companies in Bulgaria, and we are using specialized approach for every company, because you are right. Every company has different level of development of the data, and that's why we are flexible to use what existed, because really satellite images and GIS and IT are very important, but it's very important what data are available. If we have more information about the soil of the old designs, about geology, will be more efficient, but for sure we can work with any company.
Thank you.
I just jump in there. Nicola, I was wondering if you could just talk to me a little bit further about your impact and scale plans. So they seem to be fairly, I suppose, discreet and focused on the European marketplace. I was just wondering, given your belief that this is a high impact solution, why is it that you're limiting your rollout to such a discrete number of jurisdictions within Europe?
Okay, I will explain. I know what problems exist. Let's say water companies are not normal companies. They are very specialized because all we live and we have chance to live because these companies exist. And there are special regulations. Let's say in United Kingdom, they have special regulator. In Bulgaria also we have water regulator. And every regulator, I didn't remember for Greece before in Greece there was no regulator, but in Bulgaria regulator is accepting business plans and approve the prices of the water, and in the prices of the water is hidden some part that water companies has to use for rehabilitation of the system. And this is legislation is very difficult. That's why we had chance winning one accelerator. After a second, we have been invited from water company using Bulgarian legislation that has right for innovations, just to help the water company when we have funds from outside of the water company. Otherwise, they cannot sign contract for something new. This is the case in Bulgaria. The case in Greece that I did from previous company for pump testing, it was also innovation. Only 3 companies in the world did this. And during that time, Professor Tsongas was director of EIT Thessaloniki water company, and we did good project. We saved a lot of energy for Thessaloniki. That's why always my life has been using new things in the water sector. And that's why all together with this high qualified team that we have, we succeed because we cover the whole area from legislation, project management, IT, all these things.
Thank you, everyone. I think you all had your chances to ask a question. So thank you so much, Nikolai. And let's play the next video, which is from Waterset.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you all for being here. So today I would like to know if this summer you had issue with water scarcity and maybe with cyanobacteria bloom. So let me introduce to you our offer, a holistic vision of water monitoring and one of our services, Nerthus. Because of global warming and the increase of nutrient in water, the phenomenon of cyanobacteria bloom are expanding all around the world. And with this, new challenges for the water stakeholders, because they often don't have time to react, are feeling helpless about this crisis, and are struggling with more and more legal implications. So we need to move fast and smart, and not like these guys swimming right into a toxic red tide. And it is possible to do with our Nerthus service, because it's a predictive service of the favorable condition of a cyanobacteria bloom. Based on satellite imagery and artificial intelligence, its prediction will be improved with validated data that we can optimize with our clients to form a real tailor-made solution. So how does it work? First, we implement data to the model, like satellite image, but also meteorological data and most of all, the customer's data. With that, we can predict a bloom 1 to 3 days before an event. But that's not all. Our company offers a consultancy module and their expertise to build with our customers a complete water body management program. For our business model, after the clients subscribe to our software as a service ENKI, our partners will pay an annual subscription to Nerthus, depending on the size of the water reservoir in question. Plus, we have a large network of scientists and innovation businesses that can help us improve the model for a given watershed. And with this, we provide trainings and consultancy to understand the data, communicate the alerts, and find together innovative and nature-based solutions to decrease the impact of cyanobacteria blooms on the water body. But first of all, it is really difficult to be sure of the economical impact of cyanobacteria blooms because they concern so many sectors like health, tourism, and fisheries, for example. And today we are still not sure of the long-term impact. But what we can be sure is that the market in Europe and globally is huge. After comparing to traditional method of cyanobacteria monitoring, we decided that we will price our service at 80 to 100 euros per hectare per year, depending on the size of the lake. Based to our knowledge, there is still not much competition. Most of the companies provide customers with a weekly report on the presence of cyanobacteria in the water body. But with this way, you cannot be proactive, like we aim to be. And with the French NESA, the CNES, recognize our approach as breakthrough innovation. Thanks to them, we can easily use satellite images. Our main partner is the Scalion Group that built the algorithm of the Nerthus service. And recently we received a major grant of 280k from the European Space Agency. And more people are talking about our work. So now, I hope I convinced you to work with us. Thank you all. Thank you for the jury members, the EIT program, and thank you for your attentions. Hello.
Hi, Sarah. Very interesting. Thanks for the presentation. Just a quick technical question, really, around you mentioned the use of customer data as part of the algorithm. Can you just expand on what data you're expecting from customers so we can assess the kind of availability?
Okay, thank you, Matt, for your question. So what we realized that there is a lot of models that can detect cyanobacteria on a watershed, but none of them can be predictive because you need so many parameters to realize what are the favorable condition of cyanobacteria bloom on the specific watershed. So it can be meteorological data, but also geomorphological data, and the land use around the watershed to detect what are the source of pollution, most of the time from agriculture, but it can be also urbanization. And also, the incline of the watershed can also have an impact on the favorable condition. But because of that, we think that in the near future, we can also have a better idea of the spatio-temporal dynamic of cyanobacterial bloom of a specific watershed thanks to these parameters. And only the customers can have that through the years. So that's why we want to implement all the customers' data, and I think that is the most valuable data that we can have for our model.
Okay, thank you.
I think if I can add to that, Matt, so there are two things. There are a number of customers, certainly in the UK and across Europe, who use point in situ measurements, so deployed off buoys or directly off the side of the bank into river, for example. How are those brought in to your model as validation?
What we realize is that a lot of public authorities have optical tools like a probe that they use as in the buoy, for example, and sometimes they don't know how to use it. So the first job that we're going to do with the data from optical tools that we're going to use is that we're going to train them to have a better use of the optical tools. After that, we're going to see the prediction from the algorithm, from Nerthus, and validate with the data of the optical tools that we calibrated for a specific watershed. Because as you know, the calibration needs to be done for each watershed to be the more I don't have the word in English, the more right for the reality. So it's an issue because a lot of them think that you can use the optical probe anywhere, and the result will be relevant for the watershed, but that's not true. You need to have a post-calibration for your probe.
Secondly, and then I'll open the floor to the rest of the jury, what impacts do you see of optical depth and vegetation in the water body on your satellite algorithm?
That's a good question. So, yeah, and what you have as a problem with inland water, for example, is that you will have the impact of organic matter, dissolved organic matter that absorb a lot the light. Sorry. So that's an issue, but this is something that we're going to work with our team that are expert on remote sensing, but also we're going to try to use new parameters like the thermal stratification of the lake as a parameter really important for the blooming of cyanobacteria.
Thank you.
Thank you. I cannot hear you, Stella. Hello.
Sorry. I also, first of all, I would like to congratulate you. It is a great idea. I have similar concerns as other people in the jury. My concern is how can you insert the parameters that are related to the existing biodiversity in the lake, because the biodiversity in the lake affects algal blooms which and of course this is a parameter which is not very easily assessed. And this includes also the biodegrading organic matter that you have just mentioned. So this is a concern of how this could work. And based on that, I would like to ask two questions. First, is there a scale in which you are working? I mean, is this applicable for very big lakes, for very small lakes? Can this be applied for a big watershed that has a lot of inputs and many different, parameters that affect the algal bloom? And the second question is whether there are some good practice examples which you could share with us, where you have applied this successfully, and you could share those examples with us.
Okay, thank you for your question, Stella. So yes, that's true that it's a concern, because we cannot say that we don't have issue with some environmental parameters. It's not true, but we're gonna cross a little the information from different satellites to manage the problem that you can have with spatiality and temporality, because if the satellite is coming often, the spatial resolution will suffer, for example. So we're going to use different satellite for the input of environmental parameters. I know that the team of Scalions have this great reputation all around the globe to manage to do a successful model. And I know that they're going to use different machine learning method to comply with this, the use of the customer's parameters. And also, we have the example of the Lac Saint-Charles, which is the main reservoir of drinking water in Quebec City, that we didn't still use the NERTHUS program, but we did the premises with them. And we advised them to do new nature-based solution to reduce the impact of cyanobacteria bloom, like vegetalize in certain hotspots, and it worked really well. But we also provide with them all the different services that we provide in our company. And since 4 years, we had like a zero loss of water data, for example. And this zero loss of water data is really important to develop this kind of model.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One final one from me then. Do you see any benefits of the new hyperspectral satellite constellations that are being launched?
Well, because it's the subject of my PhD thesis, yes, because with the use of hyperspectral, you will have the opportunity to predict and also detect phytoplankton, but also to discriminate species among them, because there is not only cyanobacteria that are a problem, but other kind of dinoflagellate, for example, in some area in Canada, because I did my PhD thesis in Canada. And also with that, with the use of hyperspectral, I built algorithm that with only the spectral information, I was able to segregate the optical group, the phytoplankton group of a mixture, for example. So yes, I see the importance of the use of hyperspectral data.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you everyone else. So let's continue with the next company, which is Sunchip. We will play the video followed by the Q&A. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leo and I'm the co-founder of Sunchip. Water safety and quality are fundamental to human development and well-being. However, according to a study from the United Nations, 80% of water is released without treatment. Additionally, more than 700 pollutants are found in European aquatic environments. All of this makes it difficult to reuse water, leading to both environmental and health impact. In fact, it is also estimated that we drink more than 4,000 plastic particles per year. To assess water quality, municipalities perform water analysis, which is similar to a blood test. They take a sample of the water and send it to a specialized laboratory. However, results take a long time to be generated. Therefore, it's impossible to have a clear picture of what's going on at all times, resulting in environmental accidents and inability to reuse water safely. Enter SunChip. We have developed a laboratory on a chip, allowing to monitor the conditions of water and wastewater in real time through a cloud-powered dashboard. This gives a clear picture of water quality at all times, reducing the impact of pollution on the environment and allowing safe reuse of water. It improves health and safety thanks to the ability to detect hazardous pollutants, and it increases margins of treatment plants and municipalities by reducing the risk of fines, but also waste and energy consumption by optimizing their efficiency. Our device, LHAB, has been first developed to assess machinery conditions, but the technology is easily transferable to water. LHAB is a real lab on a chip, analyzing properties like pH, turbidity, conductivity, but also monitoring water contaminants like iron and manganese via imaging analysis. We've been working with various companies, developing customized devices based on our technology. As our first device is ready for commercialization now, we'll soon activate our subscription service starting from January. Additionally, we're working with insurance companies and utilities to understand how to monetize our big data in the future. We're moving fast. We started at the end of 2020, and since then, we've won numerous awards, we've completed an acceleration program with Techstars, and we've submitted 2 patents. We've started from lubricant analysis, we already have our first client in the food product development space, and we're now applying the technology to water and wastewater analysis. In fact, we're already planning proof of concepts with Eastern Pacific Shipping, looking at ballast water analysis for minimizing the impact on the ecosystem, and Bank of Italy, enabling waste minimization by monitoring contaminants in their cleaning processes. We feel we can bring a solution to DayApp's challenge as well. A pilot with DayApp would involve tailoring our technology to their treatment plants to assess water quality, for example measuring pH and turbidity, but also assessing plant efficiency by monitoring iron and manganese levels. Our total addressable market is expected to be worth $140 billion by 2027. We're already working in energy, shipping and industrial sectors, but also entering food and beverage, water and wastewater. Our mission is becoming the leader in the working fluid analysis space. We have experience in engineering and physics, lab-on-chip technology and fluid analysis. We also have an industrial co-founder with more than 20 years of experience in condition monitoring and software development. SunChip is basically the combination of what we love to spend our time around. We currently have an open fundraising round, so please get in touch if you're interested in joining the lab-on-chip revolution, or even if you just want to collaborate and test the technology. Thank you for your attention. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Leonardo. Thanks very much for a great presentation. To start, there are a lot of sensor manufacturers that deploy into clean and wastewater for monitoring the different contaminants that you measure. How does your technology compare to those standard sensors? And also, there have been a number of attempts at lab on a chip over the last kind of 20 years. How do you see SunChip comparing to those?
Yeah, so first of all, yeah, you're right. There are loads of sensor producers. What we've seen is that the majority of those tend to measure only a few parameters and don't give a full picture of water, for example. So using lab-on-chip technology allows to monitor multiple parameters and most of the important ones in just one small device. So we bring a small device, and we also bring the ability to then look at data in real time from wherever you are, not necessarily straight on where the sensor is. And yeah, and then going on to the lab-on-chip bit of the question, the lab-on-chip technology is about 20 years old, more or less, but we haven't seen it much outside of the research field. So we've started actually from lubricant analysis, but then having developed the technology, this can be used for any fluids. And the advantage of lab-on-chip technology is that, as I said before, allows quite a few analyses in a small space.
How do you bring a sample into the unit, and what's required in terms of filtration up front?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have, in the device that you've seen in the presentation, there is a micro pump that basically, so then there is an input and an output, so that water can come in and can go back into the line where it's taken from. And in terms of filtration, at the moment, we don't have anything because the device has been developed for the lubricant analysis, and we actually want to see what comes in the device. The size of the channel kind of pre-screens the particles that are going to go in. But yeah, I understand the water, and especially wastewater environment, is a bit different. So there is probably a need to do a bit of filtration ahead.
Does your camera detection only look at particulates, or can you pick up colloidal? So, for example, where ferric or alum are being dosed in clean and wastewater plants, there's often a colloidal end to that, where you may not be able to separate all of your iron out. Can you pick that up with the cameras, or is it only particulates?
No, yeah, that can be picked up naturally. So at the moment, for example, we're not using chemicals inside the device to do some reactions, but that's possible, and it can allow further analysis and picking up not just the solids, but yeah, looking at quite a few contaminations that perhaps are not visible through the camera.
Thanks. I'll open it up to the rest of the jury now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Stella? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, everyone. We will continue with the next company. Thank you, Leonardo. We'll see you later. Okay, so let's continue with a Blut video and then followed by the Q&A. Thank you.
Is expect the situation of water scarcity in South Europe will only get worse. By 2050, 17% of the population will face water storage. And yet we are wasting massive amount of water in toilet flush. My name is Carla Diaz, and I will telling you how you can save water without export. Ablut is the toilet with the most efficient water consumption. You can save 92% of water that you are currently consuming when using a toilet that uses 5 liters in each discharge. And with saving water comes an extreme reduction in water sanitation bills. Besides, taking into account wastewater treatment plants often work at their maximum capacity, reducing their charge by 28%, will avoid the releasement of contaminated water in health resource. Ablut endorses an electronic washing device instead of traditional gravity system, allowing you to save 92% of water per use. The toilet is the smallest in the market without losing ergonomies. The structure is always the same, but its cover can be chosen from multiple options so that toilet doesn't look the same. This patent tech allows us to deliver the manufacturing of the product to specialized companies such as Aroca in exchange of royalty per toilet sold. Nevertheless, the main profits come from our software solution that allows tracking the toilet performance and track your health. This toilet, when placed in medical facility, will have embedded a urinalysis device allowing the performance of health examination. Therefore, our customer segments are commercial space, considering that 17% of water used in facilities is consumed by toilets, retails, and medical facilities. Our manufacturer partners are responsible for building, selling, installing the toilet. Our company will focus on the software components. Our market can be explained according to two types of profits: selling the toilet hardware and the software associated with its performance, and providing medical facilities with urinalysis. Within the second part of the business model, the examination metadata will be generated, and we have well-defined strategy in place to make the most out of it. For instance, by selling it to a pharmaceutical companies. Combined, these two sources of revenue can easily reach 44 million euros just in Portugal. We expect to reach 1 million in revenue in 2024 by selling 4,500 toilets. Absolute is the toilet with the lowest consumption of water, and these factors associated with the other advantages of the product, such as the performance of urinalysis, make these water-efficient toilets appealing to a wide range of consumers, and thus allows more water to be saved. The toilet will be released into the market in the early beginning of 2023, and by the end of 2026, almost 200,000 liters of water will be saved. We have been acquiring the support of some renowned entities, and we have coached the attention of a group of early adopters that are interested in our product. All of this is due to this multidisciplinary team that has a knowledge and expertise to develop this solution. We are raising funds in order to acquire more talent, develop the medical device, and launch the toilet hardware into the market. And the Water Scarcity program can help us to achieve this. Thank you for your attention, and do not forget to use water efficient with Absolute.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Carla. May I ask a question? This is a very nice idea for saving water in toilets. Have you considered, however, to add the element of water circularity into that? How could the toilets be enhanced so that they would be recycling the use of this water?
Okay. Yes, in the beginning of the story of Absolute, we have found about a lot of things, and we think the association of Belinda and Bill Gates doing this very well. We are focused in other programs. If I have understand your question, the recycle water in the toilet, both like what they do. That was your question, Stella.
To be honest, the sound is not very good. I don't know if this is the case for everyone.
Yeah.
I cannot see you very well. I think you were asking clarifications about what I asked.
Yeah, do you hear me well?
Not great.
Very well.
Okay. I don't know why.
There's like echoing. Is there someone else in the same room with connected to the same chat.
You hear me better? No?
No, we've got a lot of crackles on the line, Carla.
I don't know why. I don't know why. If I have understand your question, you ask me if you can recycle water in the toilet, right?
I've asked whether you are considering of enhancing the device you are proposing by including a water reuse element.
I didn't understand. I have understand you because I don't have understand very well your question.
Could you supply the water? Could you supply the toilet with recovered grey water or rainwater rather than main supply?
Yes, I have understand well the question. It's not our focus in this toilet. Our focus is in other direction. We have think about a lot of questions in the beginning, and we take other direction.
A reduction of 90% in the water use is very significant. Have you considered what impact that reduction may have on the movement of waste through the sewers?
In the soup of Europe, where the water.
Once you flush the toilet and it's gone into the sewers, if each flush is using 1 litre rather than 8 litres, how does that affect how well the sewers are functioning? So, for example, there's a lot of initial sewer connections in the UK operate under gravity flow. If you've reduced the water going in by 90%, how's that going to affect that flow?
We are developing, so our solution is not fully developed. We are making some tests to make the pump we are placing in the toilet to better add the flow to the tube. We are developing these things. We are talking about with a lot of solutions. We know if we use less water, the pump, the tube going, we will have other problems. We are developing some things to the design.
Thank you.
Okay, if you are all done with your questions, I would like to continue with the next company. We have OnChip here. Thank you so much, Carla, and the jury members. We'll see you later. I would like to give the floor to the video of OnChip. Thank you.
Hi to everybody. My name is Jose Fernandez, and I would like to introduce the company OnChip. I am the co-founder of OnChip, and OnChip is a company that offers IoT hardware to digitalize the cycle of water. First of all, I would like to introduce a picture of what is the water stress defined by country in this year. According to the picture, as you can see, the number of countries that are in the red color with a high or extreme level of water stress are really high. So this is really a problem today. But if we go to the year of a picture in 2040, with a total population of expected for more than 92 billion of people, the water stress will increase considerably, and the number of countries that will be in high and extreme water stress will be higher than currently. So this will cause increase of cost of food, desertification, and conflicts in general. Our mission as company is to offer hardware with Internet of the Things connectivity to utilize in long-range areas. Our products allow to monitor and control variables such as water, quality parameters, control of the water footprint to manage this important resource more efficiently. The people of the company are engineers with a really high experience of more than 20 years designing and manufacturing electronic devices with the connectivity of Internet of Things. The differentiation of our products according to the competitors are the range areas in range urban areas are more than 1 kilometer, with the competitors are in a range of 0.1 kilometer. In rural areas, we are connecting devices in more than 10 kilometers, and the life of batteries are more than 5 years without the requirement of extract and replace the battery. The integration are really open, and there is no recurrent cost with the product. The verticals that we are working are agriculture and smart cities, because in the agriculture we are consuming more than 70% of the water, and in smart cities we are consuming more than 30% of the water worldwide. These are examples of the products that we have been deploying in agriculture vertical, and in this customer in Ecuador, in the banana crop, where we are deploying water sense and irrigation controller with 4 outputs and low power wet area connectivity, and other sensors like moisture soil sensors or weather stations. The combination of the device with a platform offers the possibility to the final user to automate irrigation in the field. Other examples in the smart cities are the water quality monitoring. It's an example with the Cleveland Water Alliance, where we are monitoring in the Lake Erie the water quality parameters of the lake. Other examples in water in smart cities are the landscape irrigation, like in the city of Girona, where we can deploy water sense irrigation control in combination with moisture soils, and we give efficient reduction of the water uses in the landscape irrigation. Another example is pulse metering, where we are reading the value of the water meterings in the city of Girona. And we would like to finish with our lemma that is join the digital water revolution. Thanks.
Hi.
Hi, Carlos. Thanks for an interesting presentation.
Okay, I'm Carlos Serrano, an on-chip engineer. I'm sorry, but my colleague Jose from on-chip cannot connect, and I'll try to replace him. Sorry, but my English is a low level. I am the person responsible of on-chip in Latin America.
Okay, thanks for that. I'll try and speak slowly because my Spanish is worse than your English, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, water quality, we mentioned this on an earlier presentation. It's a crowded market already. I understand you've got some specific areas of focus around smart cities and agriculture. But can you kind of just qualify what sets your technology apart from what else is already on the market? What's unique?
The technology we can use is IoT connectivity. Specialty connectivity if depend of the customer, but use LoRaWAN connectivity for the agriculture and narrowband connectivity for the smart cities.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps you could give me some sense of the financial traction that you've had. I'd love to understand how you're succeeding in your early stages. Can you give us some indication as to how the business is developing financially?
they every day increase a lot of customers around the world. Only OnChip design and manufacture these devices and send around of the partners of the world and integrating different platforms. For example, Microsoft are interested for these solutions because has a lot of network servers and is needed to hardware for connected for these platforms.
Okay.
How does your system compare? You gave some figures on the comparison to other competitors in the market. There are quite a number in the IoT space. Metasphere, for example, I'd probably say is one of the market leaders. How would you see yourself comparing to them? And there's a mention of non-recurrent revenues. What do you have to achieve in upfront sales to break even if you're not going to have recurrent revenue on subscription model, for example?
The first time has a few companies to design and manufacture these devices around the world. Every company is placed in China. And here in Spain, I think at only factory to manufacture these devices in here, that the proximity of the customers is important for to send these devices, because has a lot of difficult for integrate these devices in a platform, and the quality of the devices is as important, because the operative of the solution during a lot of time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Carlos. Okay, so let's continue with the next company, IAG, presenting their video and the Q&A. Thank you.
Cities around the world are facing new challenges due to an increase of extreme weather events. Hi, I'm Priscille Biguin, CEO of Agir, and I will talk to you about our new product, Kraken, and how it helps construction companies cope with extreme weather events. Automation and better software has transformed the construction company over the last 20 years, and our inherent knowledge of how water behaves has not kept up with both the change of the buildings and the weather they receive. And to make matters worse, globally, we are suffering from a shortage in hydraulic experts to understand the impact of rain in cities. For example, the building in the photo here is a Paris train station, and our client had no idea how this impressive roof would respond to heavy rain. Thanks to our study of the building, we know now badly, and we changed the design to make it better. Our architects, engineers, constructors, and water managers lack the expertise in hydraulic to allow them to build cities that will cope with our climate. And the stakes are higher than ever. The industry needs a solution for the buildings they are currently designing. I give you Kraken, the first digital hydraulic experts for water-resilient construction. Let me show you how it works. The video you are seeing here is a real output from our system. Our client, an engineering company, used Kraken to optimize this drainage structure. We are the fastest and the most precise fluid cloud-based solution on the market. Kraken is half the price of CFD alternative, 25 times faster, and at least 30% more precise than the current best solution on the market. We will disrupt the market by digitalizing the hydraulic engineer removing the shortage and allowing our client to construct water-resilient city. Kraken is our pride and joy. Our team worked 7 years developing it. It's been validated by market leaders with paid proof of concept in the last 2 years. Now we want to take it to market, and hence why we are here. Our target market are construction companies and engineering companies. It's a €1 billion market globally, and we have a target list of customers that are already engaged with us. Kraken is a SaaS software with an annual subscription of €2,000 per year per user and a simulation price of €3 per token. We are half the price of current solution. Our business model allows us to project an annual revenue of €46 million in 5 years. Our product is highly scalable and the market traction is very strong. We can come back for more details during the question phase. Kraken is the only fluid modeling tool targeted at construction engineers. It's a unique combination of automated analysis and 3D modeling. We are currently doing a first round of financing at €2 million. Our commercial launch will be in September 2023, and a Series A investment is programmed for first quarter 2025. We have 10 years experience on the market. Our team is driven by the change that we can make on our sector and the certainty of the power of our technology. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your question. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
May I ask about the parameters that they are modeled through Kraken? Is it just the flow?
The parameters that we can manage to understand? That's the question?
Yes. Do you...
Yeah. No, every physical parameter is simulated inside the model. So you can have flow, height, speed, pressure, everything physical.
All right. So it has all the physical parameters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Priscilla. The presentation does a great job of kind of explaining the differences that Kraken has over some of the existing modeling software in there. But as I mentioned in an earlier presentation, a lot of utilities, a lot of engineers are already have incumbent modeling suppliers. What's the strategy to terms of integrating your data with existing platforms? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, our models are completely compatible with 2D modeling software already, and we are being plugged in. So we plug directly into the software that the constructors are already using to design and create their buildings.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Are you going to be aiming this purely at the construction sector? Is there an intention to expand into fluidic design of treatment plants, for example, potentially tying into suppliers such as Comsol?
Yeah, we already have some customers in water manager sector, construction and design sectors. So we are already expanding outside the only construction part of our business model. But the model and the software is specifically designed for engineers. So engineers in every aspect of the water market. And treatment plants are part of the market.
Is it limited to single phase at the moment? So purely liquid? Are you able to do multi-phase analysis with it?
We are at the R&D phase for the multiphasic models. We already have some, but it's not completely finished yet. So it's not on the market. Any other questions?
Not from me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. So I think it's the time to give the floor to the last innovator of the day, Space Crops. Let's watch the video and then let's do the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Hi, I am Mary Grace of Spacecraft Technologies. Spacecraft is a software company that provides insights on water management and agriculture using satellite data and artificial intelligence. By 2050, the world's growing population will use 55% more water in their homes to grow food and to produce electricity and manufactured goods. Global problem on water availability in water basin is being aggravated by climate change, which affects irrigation supply for agriculture. Unfortunately, climate change affects precipitation and water supplies in many areas, thus reduces water availability and affects crops' water needs. To ensure enough water to meet this demand, we must build systems to manage water availability to better allocate water resources. Spacecraft is offering an early warning system driven by climate data and artificial intelligence. We have developed an integrated web and mobile application that offers detailed weather forecasts and could predict water availability up to 16 days in the water basin. Our prediction model could be applied in different climates and regions. Using satellite data and machine learning, we can predict continuously how much water will be available in the basin. We are going to use weather forecast data and ground truth sensor data to train the model, and afterwards, we are going to validate our model with the sensor data from another time period. Based on our discussions with the problem holder, the area of interest is where our prediction model will be validated, which is 13 water basins in the region of Asvitokori in Greece. By using our prediction model, we can provide detailed weather information about the water basin, know how much water will be available in the water basin, and optimize water allocation using decision support system for household, industry, and agriculture uses, and among others. We help our customers save time, money, and energy by optimizing water resources allocation from the water basin, reducing costs and crop damages due to lack of water, and CO2 reduction per hectare annually. Our revenue model is B2B. We sell our data and software to public authorities, private water companies, and plantation farms. From Hungary, we will scale up to Spain, Italy, and other countries with at least 2% market shares. We have initially targeted the agriculture market as one of the beneficiaries of water services from the public authorities and private water companies. Based on our sales forecast, we will generate an ROI in 3 years at 6.9 million euros. We target a client growth at least 50% each year and a revenue of 65 million euros in 10 years. We have identified repeatable strategies to acquire customers by cooperating with municipal water authorities and water companies to sell our data and software. We have done demonstrations already to plantation farms, water companies, and industrial agricultural companies since last year. We have already raised 110,000 euros for our first MVP and pilot testing series in Hungary and Spain. We will use the InnoWise Scale of funding for testing of our models in Greece, marketing and sales, and scaling up of our business operations. Our team has diverse backgrounds and expertise. We have already achieved our first MVP and we're going to achieve more. Together with our partners, join us in making the space revolution a reality. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi there. Maybe I just jump in. Mary, I'm just curious, in terms of your MVP that you've developed, how is that rating relative to your aspiration to give predictability up to 16 days? I mean, are you coming anywhere close to that? Maybe you could give us some insights.
Yes, so currently the models that we have is based on evapotranspiration model, which is a very important component to our predicting water basin forecasting system. And we also are offering a detailed weather forecasting for our current users who are plantation farms in Hungary and also in Spain. And we will onboard also one in Italy. So we are a SaaS-based company that is mainly utilizing satellite data and machine learning.
So my question though is just relative to what you've delivered on your first MVP, based on your aspiration to get to levels of up to 16 days of predictability. How are you doing based on your first installation, if you like, or your first MVP?
Right. So we have our weather forecasting model, which can actually be integrated with other data that can be collected using satellite from Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, and Sentinel-3. And then we will actually cross-validate it with the existing telemetry system already implemented in the water basin in the area of interest with the problem holder.
Okay.
What level of in situ on the ground sensing data do you require to be available to enable you to validate the models?
So our evapotranspiration model has been fully validated already in soil moisture sensors in Hungary, and we are going to improve that model by integrating it with our plan to come up with a water basin to predict the water availability in the water basin in the problem holder area using other data from lawn cover, evapotranspiration, snow cover, and temperature from the satellite data, and cross-validate it with the telemetry sensors already implemented in the area of interest.
So what level of those telemetry sensors do you need to be in place?
What level of sensors?
So what's the coverage of on the ground telemetry based sensors that you need to be in place in order for you to roll out your satellite model over the top?
Oh, these telemetry sensors have been already implemented. So we just need to cross-validate it with our model, and then from there, we would be able to measure if our models are yielding good results. So our model is continuously collecting data from satellite um, that that needs only validation. So yeah.
So the reason that I asked is when you come to scaling up, when you come to moving to a new territory, what do you need to be in place in that territory? Not what will you put in, what does the customer need to have available for you to put your system over the top?
It doesn't require any sensors anymore to be installed in other locations because the model has been trained, and our models can be actually implemented in any time and anywhere, and yeah. So right now we just need to improve our models results, and it is highly scalable in other regions as we train our data, so it becomes much more accurate.
What frequency of passes do you need from the local satellites to provide the data, and what's the minimum spatial resolution required?
Yeah, with Sentinel-2, we are using 20 by 20 meter resolution, And we're also using Sentinel-1, which has at least 5-meter resolution, which is the SAR. And we are going to use also Sentinel-3, which has 300-meter resolution, but it gives much more frequent data for us.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everyone. So with this round, we close the innovators pitching. So I would like to thank you so much to all the participants. It's been fantastic to listen to your presentations and also the interactions with the jury in the Q&A. So I just want to wish you best luck to all of you. And I see you later at the award ceremony at 12:45. And before we go on a 5-minute break, I think we all deserve it to get some fresh coffee. I would like to mention that after the break, we have an insightful roundtable coming up with a discussion with Gonzalo de la Cámara, leading the Global Center for Water and Climate Adaptation at IE University, and also with Dubravka Skunka, leading the SME support at Go Project. The session will be moderated by Antoine Walter from the Don't Waste Water podcast. So I'm sure that it's going to be very entertaining and that we will learn many things. So I hope to see you in 5 minutes here. Thank you so much to everyone. See you in a bit. Hello, everyone. We are back. We continue with the second part of the EIT Climate-KIC event. And I would like to give the floor to Antoine Walter from the Don't Waste Water podcast, and he will be discussing with Gonzalo and Dubravka today. And we want to deep dive into the big challenge of whether the world can go actually water circular by the next decade. Is the system ready? What are the barriers? What are the opportunities? It's some of the things that we will be discussing, taking into account the background and the angles from the speakers. So the screen is yours, Antoine, Gonzalo, and Dubravka. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the introduction, Patricia. Thanks a lot for that amazing session with these 7 startups we got to see so far. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a tough discussion among jury members to decide who's going to win that one. But we have an overarching topic for today, which is a question. Is the world ready to go fully water circular by 2050? I'll be introducing both our panelists in a second, but Dubravka, Gonzalo, just from your gut feeling, just with one word, yes or no, are we ready? Who's first?
Well, I would give a word to my colleague Gonzalo, because he's an expert in this area. And as we spoke before, I will speak today more about the practical tools for startups, such as circular economy strategies and life cycle assessment. So Gonzalo, I give floor to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I think we're not ready. We won't be ready unless we create some enabling conditions for this to happen. And this is something we want to discuss today.
Absolutely. So we will discuss, yes, how this enabling may happen. But let me first introduce both of you. I'll start with you, Dubravka. So you're a professor, you're a PhD supervisor, you're a journal reviewer, you're an expert in all the shades of EIT. You're a life cycle assessment representative and expert for the European Commission. And last but not least, as Patricia introduced you, you're support Swedish SMEs on the road to green transition and circular economy principle within the European GO project. So welcome, Dubravka. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for the nice introduction, Antoine.
Gonzalo, you're the director of the IE Center of Water and Climate Adaptation and an internationally renowned and active natural resource economist. You're working with the European Commission, the European Parliament, many UN agencies, I couldn't name them all, the OECD, the World Bank Group, and the Inter-American Development Bank on top of your role at Water Europe, the International Desalination Association, or KWR. So welcome, Gonzalo, and I hope you're fine as well.
Hello, Antoine.
So let's switch to the big bone of our deep dive. And I think there's one word we have to define first in that water circular by 2050, and it's the word circular. So maybe let's start with you, Dubravka. What's your definition of circularity?
Well, regarding circularity in the terms that we are speaking today, I would speak about circular economy and what is the difference between circular and linear economy. Well, we have linear economy, which is actually fostering, encouraging cradle-to-grave approach, which means that products are designed only for a single lifetime. After they use, they are being disposed usually at the landfill. Also, linear economy is putting a significant immense pressure on the natural resources and on the environment in general. But on the other hand, we have circular economy. It fosters cradle-to-cradle approach and circularity at every stage of the value chain. It fosters using renewable recycled materials. Also, what is really important, using products as long as possible. In some cases, there could be some problems regarding the environmental impact because sometimes we have several different circular strategies for the end of life that we could use, and then we don't know which one to choose. And this is when scientific tool called life cycle assessment could provide an immense help regarding the circular economy and their combination. And I will speak later about the advantages of the LCA tool.
So thanks for that definition. What I heard is cradle to cradle, using the resource as much as possible. And I'm wondering in all of that, and Gonzalo, probably you have the answer to that, can we be actually water circular? And is that the right scale at which we shall look at the question?
Yeah, the whole discussion about the optimal scale for circular economy, it's really an intriguing one. And that's probably the critical issue we have to face. Why? Because if circular economy or climate change adaptation or resource efficiency, rational behavioral patterns. Yeah, why aren't these happening spontaneously? And the reason why they're not happening spontaneously is precisely because we tend to downplay, if not overlooking at all, the whole discussion about the optimal scale for this. It's very easy for everyone listening to us to name a few or 1,000 examples of very successful circular economy projects. But one common feature of all those projects, mostly, is that oftentimes they happen at a very low scale. Yeah, so they happen at a wastewater treatment plant, at a living lab at best, yeah, in a catchment, or they happen in a demo site or for a pilot project. This is great, and we need that critical mass for circular economy to happen. My question is, what's the actual challenge? And the actual challenge is very much one in terms of upscaling all this. This cannot happen at the right scale and therefore deliver the right outcomes unless we understand the circular economy requires industrial symbiosis. So meeting mutual relationships between different sectors. It's not so much about connecting and acknowledging that there are different links between these sectors. It's very much about making this happen in reality. So we know they're interconnected, but it's very often the case that we have a look at these things from a too fragmented or too sectoral biased approach.
Yet, what's the right scale? Because if it's today it's fragmented, you said the biggest could be the living labs today, but is the right scale to look at the universe, or is that too broad now? And where would you go in between?
No, I think we need to work at different spatial and time scales, because time is also relevant in this case. But the question is very much that the right scale is not the one that I would define as the right scale. It's not any technocrat telling us what the right scale is. The right scale is one in which you can actually find those mutual benefits between different economic sectors so that we can actually use the right technologies for circular economy, and those technologies deliver in terms of wider socioeconomic impact. So it's important for people listening to us to understand that circular economy is not the end in itself. Circular economy is a means to an end. Yeah, we move away from linear approaches just because we need to do things better. I think Dubravka explained this perfectly, but to me, circular economy is very much about being able to live out of our waste in order to keep on living out of our resources. So it's this understanding that we need to have.
So now that we've somehow established a frame, there's something that struck me when we were preparing for that discussion, is that you, Gonzalo, you told me that we have 19th century institutions, I'm going to quote you and you correct me if my quote is wrong, making decisions about the 21st century challenges. So what do you mean by that? And does that mean that the institutions are not the right interlocutors?
In many cases, that's exactly the case. That's exactly what I meant. And let me just give you a couple of examples. One is circular economy itself. If you want to work with, let's say, circular procurement approaches by which you provide the right reward, to the end users of a resource, it may well be the case that, for instance, if you take a wastewater treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant can actually be looked at as a key actor in the water sector, treating with advanced treatments effluents of wastewater. That's one way of looking at it. Another one is looking at that plant as a way of reclaiming and recovering energy, for instance, biogas, that can actually be used for the self-sufficiency of the plant, but also delivered back to the grid with feed-in tariffs. So in that case, is this an energy issue or a water issue, or is it both? I think it's both. And if it's both, do we have the right institutions with no institutional bias, with no sectoral bias built in, that can deal with this issue? Another good example is that of adaptation, climate change adaptation, which is something well connected to circular economy. Do we have the right institutions with a specific legal mandate in terms of adaptation, or it's the Climate Adaptation Office at a national level in our country, just a referee trying to convene the right actors from sectoral policies and trying to coordinate that so that this does not become a mess? if that's the case, what we see is that it's very often the case that we have institutions. And by the way, institutions is not just like public bodies. Institutions is also mindsets. It's also legal instruments. It's also economic incentives. So I don't think we have like upgraded and updated all these institutions in order to deal with these societal challenges, most of them happening at a global scale.
If I'm hearing you right, it's about breaking the silos and maybe, if I use the big words and maybe the buzzwords, being disruptive, which on my book is kind of the definition usually of startups, SMEs. You're working with these kind of players, Dubravka, so do you think those might be the vectors for change?
Regarding the question, it's very interesting. I would fully agree with Gonzalo. I think the entire innovation ecosystem should be interconnected. And I think that startups can really have a significant role. So on one side, they do have the flexibility, and on the other hand, the large enterprises have the financial resources. So if we connect startups with large enterprises and multinational companies, this could really get us to a change. So we have the situation in which large enterprises have code of conduct, have certain rules with startups and companies that they would like to collaborate with. And these rules are regarding their entire value chain. So is it circular? Is it sustainable? So all of these aspects startups can achieve, but they would need to implement the environmental profile into their business plan, which means that they should implement measurement of the environmental impact, and they should also trace their suppliers and also their consumers. So they should have a control over their entire supply chain, and they should include all of these actors in the innovation game. On one hand, the consumers should be educated how they can lower the environmental footprint by showcasing on the packaging of the startup product, for example, how to lower the environmental footprint regarding the recycling and so on. And it should be showcased in a measurable manner, so in kilograms of CO2, so that consumers can actually see how much they can help the environment if they behave in a certain way. And on the other hand, for the large enterprises to have this collaboration with startups, it's very important for startups to have sustainable suppliers who are sourcing raw products sustainably, but not only on the environmental aspect, but also in regards to eradication of any kind of child labor, human trafficking, and so on. And this would be something that would provide an immense help. And also to follow up on what Gonzalo has mentioned, also what could help is that throughout the EU, there would be more support for entrepreneurs who are students and who are building their startups at the universities. Some countries are more advanced than the others regarding this sector.
Like Sweden, for instance?
Yeah, or
you might be biased in
Germany, Netherlands,
Sorry.
yes.
Actually, we've seen some of these brilliant startups in the pitches we had in the first part of today's event. And some of these pitches were about a specific nexus, which is the food and water nexus. So I propose you to dive a bit deeper into that dimension. And actually, it is sometimes an overlooked part of the water question, even though agriculture is using 70% of the water and probably is going to be the first to suffer if there's water scarcity ongoing. Dubravka, you've been extensively looking into that field. What did you find? What's your 2-3 key learnings, and how did you use life cycle assessment, as you introduced in the opening, to look at that field?
Yes, as you mentioned, Antoine, agriculture is using 70% of the fresh water on the global level, according to the World Bank data, on one hand. And then we have actually in the European Union the situation in which annually we have 57 million tons of food waste, according to the Eurostat data from 2022. And they are connected with 130 billion euros of costs. So the situation is really not good. And on the other hand, we do have the water use. So the quarter of the water used globally for agriculture is used for cultivating the food, which is ultimately not used, which is wasted. There are certain startups who are already targeting this solution, and the examples are Olio and Too Good To Go Web. And regarding the startups that have pitched today, it was a pleasure to listen to them. And they have integrated into their solution saved water, the water in liters that they could save by implementing their solution in majority of cases. Life cycle assessment is a tool actually that can help in combination with the circular economy strategies. So it can help to choose which, for example, water treatment would be the best to use, for example. With the life cycle assessment, we are getting a measurable. We are getting a number, for example, of kilograms of CO2 or liters of water that could be saved. So we have the environmental impact indicators, which are measurable, and that we could showcase to our investors, also to banks if we need a loan, but also to our consumers and at the end to our employees. Life cycle assessment can identify hotspots in the production chain, and it can provide the opportunities to mitigate the environmental impact, to optimize. What is really important is that it helps SMEs to choose the most sustainable suppliers on one hand, and on the other hand, it can help them to teach consumers how to lower their environmental footprint. I will give examples of certain environmental impact categories that are being measured by implementation of life cycle assessment tool. So aside of water footprint and the global warming potential, which is measured in kilograms of CO2, ozone layer depletion, ecotoxicity, acidification, eutrophication, land use are some examples of the impact on the environment. They are measurable, and that when we enter input and output the data from our production into the software, that we can get after we press calculate on the software. And what is also really important, and it would be a tip and advice for concrete advice for the startups that we're pitching today, they should speak with their suppliers, with the companies that surrounds them in their value chain. And they should speak about the inputs and outputs that go into their production process, and then to see is there any option to lower this environmental footprint, and how the certain production systems and processes could be optimized. And in the future, they could be using some of the tools that LCA is offering, softwares, to actually do this. There is an option even of the free software that they could use. So this is something that they could start thinking of doing today. And they don't need financial resources. They have all the manuals online. So this is something that could be really of use for them.
Regarding the various elements you just shared, I have to credit both of you for whatever I will say, which might sound half clever, because I really learned it from both of you in preparation for that discussion. So Dubravka, you shared me that exactly what you said, that 25% of the food is wasted today, which is a waste of water. And Gonzalo, you mentioned that there is this projection toward 2050, which says that we have to find 69% more calories to feed the world. So I have this kind of two antagonist statistic. On one hand, we are producing apparently 25% too much, in the sense that we're wasting it, so we're not efficient with that. And on the other hand, we need to drastically produce more. So how do the planets align here? Is it again a question of scale and right approach? Because the 25% might be lost in B2C and consumers, and the 69% more are something which you have to plan on a world level. So how do you approach that paradox?
Yeah, it's not the only paradox that we face in terms of connecting long-term food and water security at once, and I could add the energy security as well, concerns or anything that has to do with the critical supply chains of fertilizers or whatever has to do with the climate emergency as such. So we realize that it's about time that we understand that this is all about mastering complexity and uncertainty. So if, for those of you listening to us, I think it's important for you to recall that the target that Antoine was mentioning is not one that I invented. It's one by the UN FAO, so the Food and Agriculture Organization within the UN system. And they say that by 2050, when we reach a population of 9.7 billion people, just a few days ago, we reached 8 billion people in the world, the target is to increase by 69% our production of calories. So the immediate question here is, do we actually have the installed capacity to produce all these worldwide? And when you look at the availability of arable land worldwide, you realize that it's with a very sluggish growth rate, over the last few years. And this is mostly explained by emerging economies, not by advanced economies where it's been decreasing recently. But so that could be good news. We need to face this increase in calories, but we have more arable land worldwide. But when you look at that number per capita, you see that it's completely collapsing. It's dramatic how it's collapsing. So what's the way out of this equation? The way out is precisely to be able to increase our yield per hectare. So less land, but more productivity. Is this actually happening? You review the numbers and you realize that, again, yields are increasing worldwide, but they're not increasing at the pace that would be necessary to hit the target. So again, what shall we do? As global humankind, what shall we do? And the answer to that is where you find that there are two good reasons to make really bad decisions. Why? Because precisely the way out of this is putting more pressure on water resources and soil resources worldwide. And this is one of the reasons, one of the drivers of environmental degradation of these key resources. Being more circular is precisely about being able to streamline all this process and acknowledging all those waste volumes that Dubravka has referred to, and understanding this, and I do agree that life cycle assessment is relevant in terms of providing analytical insights for all this, but understanding this is critical to see why these days irrigation agriculture is expanding precisely in those areas in the world that are subject to most intense long-term water stress. And the reason for that is that there are comparative advantages to do that. More solar radiation in other places in the world, low-cost labor, and abundant land. But this is at the expense of the lack of the most critical input for agriculture, which is water itself. And the reason why the expansion of irrigated agriculture is happening precisely in those areas with least water available is precisely because water productivity in deserts is higher than anywhere else. So this explains the thrilling and thriving agricultural sectors in South Australia or in the 17 western states of the US or in the Pacific coast of Latin America or in Mediterranean bases, regardless of whether they're European or African countries, or in the Middle East. So there are many good reasons to make really unsustainable decisions. What we need to do is to understand the reasons why we make decisions and to redesign those incentives in order to be more circular and more sustainable.
I'd like to jump into the incentives with you, Gonzalo, in a second, but I have a layman question for the economist you are, which is about market design, because you mentioned how wastewater treatment could be changed. Wastewater today could be covering 30% of the ammonia fertilizer needs of agriculture, could be covering 100% of the white phosphorus fertilizer need of the agriculture. So we could have today the circular approach, increasing the yield and getting a better bang for the buck, if you pardon my poor economic term. What has to come first? Is it the incentive? Is it the market? Is it the regulation? Or is it a change in our overall words approach?
It's all combined. It's all combined. We don't just need one type of policy instrument. We need a complex policy mix. And this complex policy mix can be, can integrate, can gather instruments that have to do with command and control. And that's what regulation is about. I mean, we've got an asset in the European Union because we learned, unlike other regions in the world, we learned that regulation, public regulation, is critical to align legitimate individual interests and collective goals. What we're talking about today has to do with superior goods. It has to do with public goods, collective action challenges. So we need regulation for that. But then there is an instrument that has to do with economic and financial instruments to be used, that these can contribute to redesign those incentives. So the issue of markets is critical. Let me just give a very simple illustration of this. If you go to a wastewater treatment plant and you think about not just treating the effluents of dirty water, but being able to reuse part of that water, the science and the technology to make that happen is not rocket science anymore. We know that we mostly use membrane technologies. You regenerate those wastewaters, and you make them available for reuse. For different purposes. To conserve wetlands, for manage aquifer recharge, to cleanse our cities, whatever. Okay, even if you're Singapore, to make it drinkable again. But this is one element of this circular economy approach, which is reclaiming and reusing water. The second one is that in the process, you reclaim and reuse solids. For instance, you reclaim nutrients such as the one you were mentioning, phosphorus, nitrates, that can be used as fertilizers for agriculture. You reclaim biogas that makes you self-sufficient on energy grounds, and allows you to become an independent power producer, with the surplus energy that you won't use. But if you do not create markets for all this, and this requires institutional development, regulatory development, and new incentives, nothing will deliver, nothing will happen. So you can have the best technology for water reuse, in place, investing money, sometimes private equity, sometimes taxpayer money, but this will never deliver unless you create a market for water to be reused, another one for nutrients, another one for biogas, and a fourth one that we tend to overlook, which is one for the agricultural output that's being produced through reused water. So if you do not create these markets, and this requires industrial symbiosis, this requires complex spatial planning, if you do not do that, those technologies might be bright, but they will not deliver.
Regarding this various market that you have to create, does it start with awareness that we might have a problem? I mean, you're a specialist for life cycle assessment, for instance, Dubravka, and you've been working on the chicken meat food chain for value chain, for instance. And what struck me there is that what you were finding in your research is that there are hotspots and there are parts of that value chain which are really impacting much more than the rest. And I'm thinking, if tomorrow my chicken in my supermarket would have a label saying that it is much better because it's looking at those hotspots and solving the hotspots, would I really look at that incentive? Is it sufficient for me as a consumer? If I'm not aware that there's a problem at first, I doubt it. So how do we bring that awareness to the masses so that they can then react on the incentives we might be designing?
Yes, that's an excellent question, Antoine. Regarding these aspects, households and consumers are a really important part of the value chain, especially to follow up on our previous discussion. 55% of food that is wasted in the households. So having this in mind, which is also connected with significant environmental impacts, which life cycle assessment can help us evaluate. The question now is how to include consumers in this innovation ecosystem and how to motivate them to change their behavior. Researchers have shown that it's not simply enough to explain to people why they should change their behavior. The exact numbers and the exact manual can help consumers actually implement these changes. I mean, the liters of water they could be saving if they are behaving in a certain way, amount of CO2 that they could be reducing by behaving in a certain way also with regarding to the food products, for example. But also what people are reacting very good to is to showcase them what would happen if they don't change their behavior today, and what would happen to their children and to the future generations. What kind of the pollution will we leave for the future generation to have to combat. So these are some of the aspects that can actually help to also include households in this game. What I previously mentioned, the interconnection between large enterprises and startups can also be very significant regarding the including households and consumers in the innovation game, because the startups are offering flexibility. And I would like to point out for the several examples that many of our listeners are already acknowledged about, and they are on the first hand very simple solution, but that had very high reach regarding the household part of the chain. So it's Olio app and Too Good To Go app. The system is very simple regarding the Olio app. In the one community, neighbors are being interconnected. Those neighbors that do not have enough food are given food by neighbors who have the excess food. And in this entire system, also restaurants, hotels can also be included to donate the food that otherwise would be wasted. So this is a very, very simple way, but it can actually help save billions of liters of water. And also it has over 60 million users across 62 countries. What is really important is that local communities are having an added value. People are being interconnected, which is really good. Portions of food that have been saved are 65 million of portions of food that 6 million users of this app have saved. And they also have in hand the volunteers, like around 90,000 volunteers that actually help gather the unsold food and hand it to those who are in need. On the other hand, we have a Too Good To Go app. And Too Good To Go app finds the closest restaurant to you and gives you the opportunity to buy food for them that otherwise would be wasted. The added value is because the app is showcasing the closest restaurant, which means that you do not have to use your car to get to this. You can just walk, and it really saves regarding the environmental pollution and lowers it, which is really important. And just to showcase the reach of the Too Good To Go app, 160 million food bags have been saved globally. There are 60 million users from 17 countries, and they have over 165,000 business partners across several continents. So this is something that a simple example of how simple idea can really include households and consumers in the innovation game, and in a simple way gain environmental benefits.
I have to give you credit here as well, because I knew the Too Good To Go app. I didn't know the Olio one, so it's millions plus one, because now I'm an additional user. But aside from the anecdote, let me take a devil's advocate hat here for a second, because I'm just leveraging two of the comments we got in the chat on YouTube. So please, if you have more questions, I'll be taking them here. But what those comments made me think, I mean, we had one comment saying that we need new markets to move forward with existing technologies. And the other comment was wastewater treatment plants are a very fit case for circular economy practices. So what I'd like to ask you here is that it's a bit counterintuitive, because we've seen 7 brilliant pitches from new companies coming with amazing new approaches to that market. But it sounds like we have existing technologies which would do the trick. So you can always better the technological level, but it's not technologies which are on the bottleneck today of the implementation path of circular approaches. So, and that's my devil's advocate question. I'm sorry for the startups if they're still watching us, but aren't we sending the wrong message when we are pitching new technologies, that if we need new technologies, it's that we're not ready with the existing? Who wants to go first with that troublesome question?
I can go first. I actually think that we have the right science available and that we have very significant technological development for circular economy, but we still lack innovation. And this is the actual role for these startups. Yeah. So it's not just about basic and applied science. It's not just about technological development. It's about how you actually connect that scientific and technological knowledge, yeah, with markets, yeah, or with societal challenges, if you want to put it this way, right? So I still feel that innovation is critical. What's really important is that anytime you have a new technology to showcase, you don't just focus on that technology itself, but you go beyond and show how this becomes a game changer, to what extent this is making us live in a much better way. What are the wider social and economic outcomes to be expected from the use of these innovative technologies? And we need to unlock a technological lock-in that is very much in terms of using technologies that we know just because we know them. Yeah. So it's important that we also show the world that there are new technologies to be used, and that innovation is not just technological innovation. Innovation stands for making things in a different way, and making things in a different way also needs to happen on institutional grounds, on financial grounds, on social grounds. So I feel that it's important that we embrace a much wider and ambitious definition of innovation than just thinking that we are pitching new technologies.
Does that mean business models innovation, policy innovation, market innovation?
Absolutely, absolutely. Procurement models, redesigning incentives, thinking about financing in a more strategic way. It's not just about ensuring funding. It's not just about ensuring upfront capital investment. We also need to make sure that we innovate in terms of project finance and how we connect these to pricing systems as well.
Before letting you also give your 2 cents, Dubravka, just take a comment from Sarah Goubet, who was one of the person who pitched today, if I'm right. Innovation is, from my point of view, exchanges between people from different sectors, but with the same goals. And startups like us today are breaking the barriers between sectors and bring innovation. So it's really about this interconnection. I think that's exactly what you're doing with the SMEs you work with, Dubravka, right?
Yes, exactly. The interconnection is really important, and I fully agree with everything that Gonzalo has mentioned. On one hand, the technology level is really important, but it's also very important the entrepreneurial spirit and how you can approach the markets, how can you approach the actors in the game. So we do have the plethora of solutions. But for the startups to be very successful, they need to have all these aspects in hand. So they do need to have a knowledge in the innovation, and they should provide something to the market which is innovative. But on the other hand, they have to have an entrepreneurial spirit and to know how to market it and how to exactly use their product or service to advance a certain niche of the market. And some of the pitchers today had really showcase the exact principle how to actually do it. So all of the actors in the ecosystem should actually be interconnected, and the point should be on that. And what I would also like to emphasize is that when we are having the different scientific conferences or a gathering of entrepreneurs and so on, the inclusion of all the actors should be something that we should strive. So we should have representatives of the government, of the universities, aside from entrepreneurs, and to have all of them in one room. Also, what would be very important is to include also the agencies and institutions that are protecting consumers and their rights, especially when we are speaking about new technology, artificial intelligence, digital technology, and so on, because of the ethical part and so on. So I think all of these actors should be actively included in discussion, and it should be always emphasized what will happen if they are not all included. So there is an added value for each actor if from the beginning there is inclusion of all of them.
actually, we have 5 minutes left in our session, so I'd like to have a last topic with you, which is we are looking at 2050. So we should be water circular, will be apparently no if I listen to you, unless we do some changes. And changes cannot happen on a horizon of, say, let's do something great in 2050. We have to roll out in phases. So what needs to happen in the next 5 years, in the next 2 years, in the next 10 years? I don't know what's the right horizon. What needs to happen first and at which stage, so that we set ourselves on the right path?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, and this is something that we teach in 101 economic courses worldwide, which is the longer you wait, the more limited the range of alternatives that you will have, and the higher the cost that we will collectively have to afford. So I think that it's important to understand that this is not just about optimism or pessimism. It's about accepting that we may be able to hit the target by 2050. But the real question is not that. The real question is, how are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? What are the means to that end? Are we leaving anyone behind in the process? So to me, what really needs to happen is first acknowledging that we have to move away, we have to unlock different lock-ins. One, I mentioned before, a technological lock-in. Another one is an institutional lock-in. Why do we continuously support some institutional responses that have failed in the past? Why don't we understand that water policy is not about remediating impacts from other sectoral policies? So water policy is not about to offset the impacts of agricultural policy, for instance. Why don't we integrate water policy concerns in our sectoral policies in a more determined way? Why don't we move away as well from a financial lock-in? The world today is still investing twice as much in fossil fuels than in renewable energies, despite the fact that we know that first, the latter are more sustainable, and then we know that on average, the return on investment of those renewable energy projects can be 6-7 times as large as those in oil and gas. So why are we doing this? And I think the answer to this question is one I mentioned before. We do have too many good incentives to make really lousy decisions. So we need to redesign incentives. So for me, this is a step one. And step two, probably, or maybe both at the same time, is acknowledging complexity, acknowledging that there is no such thing as the food sector or the energy sector or the water sector. They're all very interconnected. And therefore, if we uptake an actual nexus approach, we will be closer to hitting the target.
Dubravka?
Well, from my side, I would say that Gonzalo has summed it perfectly, and I would just add that I would wish to have not so much a job as a life cycle assessment specialist, because I hope that startups will more and more be able to do the assessments by themselves. And I'm saying this because startups are usually lacking financial resources and the advancement of tools that they could use by themselves. And in the future would be something that would practically help them. So it would enable them to lower the environmental footprint, to include consumers and suppliers in the entire innovation ecosystem, and it will require much less financial resources than before. So my wish is that I do not have so many life cycle assessments that I would have to do, but for the startups to be equipped with the knowledge to do it by themselves.
Well, thanks a lot for this awesome summarizing from both of you to close our discussion today. It was great to have you, Dubravka. It was great to have you, Gonzalo. Thanks a lot. For our watchers, listeners, wherever you are right now, thanks for the one which also shared their thoughts in the chat. I had the chance in preparation for that conversation to record 2 interviews with our 2 panelists, which will be live on my podcast next Wednesday. So if you'd like to go even further into those topics, then you can have 1 hour each of a deep and thoughtful conversation from them. I'm just the one with the questions. And that being said, and thanking you again, I think I can hand over to Patricia.
Thank you.
welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That's a lot of food for thought. Well, there's so much that we can take from this discussion as a starting point to keep digging into the way that we can shift the system. How can we redesign the way we are kind of tackling this water scarcity? So I think this is the start of a continuous conversation that I would like to take over with the three speakers today. It's a crucial topic, and I think we raised very important questions, and they gave some hints into how to accelerate this transformation into more circular approaches, how to involve different actors from society, and yeah, basically there's some questions and comments on the social media that I'm sure that you can go and check and continue interacting and engaging in this topic. So I would like to give now a huge welcome to Professor Phoebe Koundari in representation of the Athena Research Center. She's also a co-organizer of today's event, and this will be kind of preempting the award ceremony. She will be giving a short keynote presentation on this matter. So Phoebe, welcome. Hello.
Oh, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Very
Feel
good.
free.
Do you want me to share my slides or? Yeah.
Yes, if you have them ready. Yes.
I have them ready. I just want you to give me your preference, what you want me to focus on, how we are going to transform given the policy framework and the sustainable finance topic, or you want me to focus on optimal management of the water, food, energy nexus? Because the time is limited, just give me your preference. What is not discussed yet and you want to hear about?
Well, those are two very interesting topics, and it's hard to choose right now. But I think for the purposes of giving the floor then to the solutions providers, maybe the second point you mentioned can be a way of building upon what is being discussed today. I think the other one will be a whole new topic.
Okay, so you're talking about finance, sustainable finance, or water, food, energy nexus? Just I'm trying to understand which one you prefer.
It's up to you, really. Like, I don't know how you managed to present the presentation, really, because it should follow that. But I think both topics, the financial angle, of course, is something needed to carry on with the initiative. So go ahead.
Thank you very much. So I think it is important to understand how innovation is crucial in this sustainability transition. We all know that we have a very complex multi-crisis framework in which we function: the COVID, the economic recession and inflationary pressures, the climate change crisis, the biodiversity collapse crisis, the war, and all these are now leading to an energy crisis that is difficult to handle, food crisis combined with wealth population crisis, and increase in inequality gives us a very difficult, gloomy picture of difficulties, of challenges that we need to face. And the Alliance of Excellence for Research and Innovation on IFORIA that I lead, that includes 5 different research centers, including Athena Research Center, which is the Climate-KIC hub of the country that I am honored to lead, together with 4 different accelerators, innovation accelerators, combining innovations that are both social, financial, and technological, and combined with various global and European networks focusing on science policy interface and science-driven support for the transformation that is needed. We work on research and innovation projects, innovation acceleration, deep demonstration, and of course the science policy interface education and training, a big team of 200 researchers. And let me try to give you an overall picture of where we need to engage in order to transform and why innovation is crucial in this transformation. At the moment, we have some overarching policies that are very central to accelerating the transformation from a top-down approach. So we have the SDGs, 17 goals, 169 targets, 300 indexes, KPIs measuring the performance of each country, of each region, of each municipality, of each company with regards to the sustainability transition. This combined with a big agreement, the Paris Agreement, that mainly refers to SDG 13, is our global agenda. It's at the moment the only global agenda that exists, combined with, of course, the Charter of Human Rights. And then in 2019, we have the European Green Deal, 4 axes, climate neutrality by 2050, leave no one behind, clean tech leadership of European companies, and of course, a reduction of pollution. And since then, we've been drafting the European Green Deal, 9 different policies within these 4 axes, and then many initiatives, many directives that support this new deal that is our growth strategy in Europe. And we remain faithful to this European Green Deal even after the huge non-linearity of COVID, with a recovery and resilience facility of almost 750 billion, in addition to the 1 trillion supporting the European Green Deal, that is financing investments that are green, 37% climate mainstream, and digital. 20% of the investment has to be proven relevant to the digital transformation. So our growth strategy basically puts as the priorities the green and digital transformation that can happen by supporting innovation and social cohesion. And the EU taxonomy is supporting all this, is financing investments, is making explicit that sustainable investments are those that can be categorized under the green and digital definition. And it also includes a sustainability reporting directive for companies to be implemented 2024 for big companies and for all companies by 2027, which includes very specific information and allows assessment and monitoring of this information and digital tagging of this information. And in addition to this, we have the asset management companies, again, being regulated with delegated acts and having to submit advice, asset management advice and portfolio advice that includes sustainability principles. And then the Fit for 55 brings in these 13 legislative proposals that are revising, upgrading, and refining all the taxations, directives, and regulations that have to do with energy system and the land use system. It expands the ETS and refines the ETS to include not just industries, but also aviation, shipping, and of course, vans and cars. It gives us a new land use system, a new energy efficiency a directive, new energy taxation, and so on. And of course, with the goal, we have Repower EU, which focuses on renewables away from fossil fuels and reestablishing interconnectivity that we lost after COVID. And all this transformation that is coming from down, from a top-down approach, is really consistent with the SDGs. So at the moment, we have a very good blueprint that shows what needs to be done in a very systemic, integrated, and transformative structure in order to meet the sustainability targets. So for once, we should stop saying that sustainability is not well defined. It is very well defined with 17 goals, with 169 targets, with 300 KPIs measuring it. It can be applied apply this measurement that we have introduced under the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network report, which has been published since 2015 every year, showcases a very good framework of measurement, quantification, and assessment and monitoring of the performance. At the moment, we are experiencing a stagnation, mainly due to the war and COVID, of the progress with regards to the SDGs across countries. However, what we need to identify is where a green recovery from COVID can be based. And this can be based, and this is where we can find interesting innovations. This is where innovation can contribute. The energy sector, the agriculture, food sector, housing and urbanization, health sector, and research and development for geoengineering. And it is important to understand that this is an innovation-based transition. We are hopeful that we will be able to achieve the SDGs, maybe not by 2030, but let's make it our agenda to 2050, because this is the true possibility. The SDGs can be implemented if you look at the growth rates of the economy, but also at the pace of technological progress and the boundaries, the national resource boundaries of the planet. They can be achieved by 2050. And they can be achieved only because we have a huge pace, an unprecedented pace in human history of technological advancement. So innovation in technological advancement that supports innovation in financing and social cohesion is what is needed at a very fast pace. And this is our only chance to achieve the SDGs and get on a growth path that is really going to get us to a sustainable world. Doing a textual analysis of the connection between the European Green Deal and the implementation of the SDGs, we find that the European Green Deal is mostly focused on the SDGs, on climate action, industry and innovation, clean energy, and responsible consumption. When we try to see whether the European Green Deal is really strong on SDGs that have to do with social cohesion, well, usually our framework, our UNSDSM framework, we have the 6 so-called transformations that need to take place in order to achieve the SDGs, in order to operationalize the SDGs. The European Green Deal is really strong in supporting the transformation of sustainable food, land, water, and oceans, and energy decarbonization, less strong on digitalization and sustainable cities, and weak on education, gender inequality, health, and well-being. And this is unfortunate because it is weak on the social cohesion elements. Without strong social cohesion, it is impossible to achieve a big transformation in such a limited amount of time. And the other big challenge of the European Green Deal, in addition to the weakness with regards to supporting social cohesion, is funding. Where are the resources going to come from in order to finance the transformation? We've seen that the Recovery and Resilience facility created some additional fiscal space for the countries that do not have fiscal space, especially the southern countries of Europe. But even there, we see that the money from this Recovery and Resilience facility mostly go to green energy and e-mobility, to green buildings and green research and development, but less so on protecting biodiversity, on sustainable food systems, areas where most of these countries really underperform with regards to the relevant SDGs. So this is another warning that maybe we are not directing public finance exactly where the low performance with regards to the SDGs are. And then how is this going, this finance and this transformation is going to infiltrate in the private sector, in the businesses? We should know that the funding gap for the SDGs around the world is in a range of 10 trillion. The amount of money that is needed is huge. No public sector has this amount of money. We need to get the private sector in clever public-private partnerships. And for that, it is important for the companies to convince to be transformed. And one of our analysis shows that sound ESG performance implies good financial performance, lower systemic risk, improved profit margins, and better returns and a return on equity ratios for companies. So we develop an approach that combines environmental, social, governance criteria with SDGs criteria. Why is this important? Because ESGs, the environmental, social, and governance criteria, do not include sustainable finance. The missions of company is to make profits. You cannot ask the companies to transform according to environmental, social, and governance criteria without including as another criterion, as a major other criterion, the effect of this transformation on their profits. This is included in the SDG framework. It's a more holistic framework, and it's a framework that allows a continuous hybrid monitoring of the effect of the transformation of a company, not only on its social impact, not only on its environmental impact, not only on its governance impact, but also on the impact of the profit. And we also suggest a three-step approach that allows profitable ESG transformation for government, for companies. And the way to do that is first to identify at the whole value chain range of a company the opportunities for profitable and successful ESG transformation, including circular economy, investing in cheap energy production from renewables, investing in nature-based solution, investing in clever digitalization, investing in climate adaptation, and then develop ESG performance measurement with specific KPIs, and then combine these ESG KPIs with SDGs. And at the end of the day, develop these hybrid metrics that allows you to see at even real time the effect of ESG transformation on the different sections of the value chain of the company on profitability. And at the third stage, you need assessment and monitoring. So it is important to have the whole value chain of a company map to see the opportunities. It is important to have economic financial rating together with environmental, social, and governance rating. It is important to be able to measure the change in the footprint on environmental and social conditions, but then also monetize this change in the footprint through valuation studies. And it is also important to know that there are techniques that do so. We have done this for the whole of Europe, identifying the monetized value of preserving terrestrial, marine, and freshwater ecosystems for all the ecosystem services that this ecosystem provide, provisioning, regulating, and cultural and supporting services within the 14 different biogeographic and marine regions in Europe. And we are able to find the marginal willingness to pay by household, by ecosystem service, by country, and also find the correlation between willingness to pay for natural capital, for ecosystem services with the performance of these countries with the SDGs, with regards to the SDGs. Countries with good performance are countries whose citizens are aware of the value of natural capital and integrate the monetary value of that natural capital in their investment decisions. And this can be monetized for companies as well. So it is important to map ESGs to SDGs, and it is important to be able to showcase how environment, social, and governance transformation will help the profitability of a company and will help the company increase governance and ethics, customer engagement, sustainable operations, employee engagement, community engagement, environmental and natural capital preservation, and at the same time provide opportunities for bigger market share and bigger profits. The hybrid metrics that I was talking about, combining financial KPIs and ESG KPIs. And also the SDG framework allows you to have a very explicit understanding of where you are today, where you will go if you do not transform by 2030 and 2050, and where you need to go, so what level of transformation you need in order to get to an SDG, ESG compatible business plan and operation. And let me close by saying that this is doable also for asset management. You can identify the ESG, SDG content of different portfolios, and you can transform it in order to increase that content. I would like to close by mentioning the Sustainable Development Solution Network Global Climate Hub that gives support, science-based advice, and support to any country, region, or even municipality that is willing to use all extensive data knowledge technologies that are provided by scientific fields in order to develop detailed downscale action plans to be adopted and reinforced by society for the transition to climate neutrality and climate resilience. And this will be done using the 9 different units of the hub: climate and data platform, atmospheric species, climate and energy, climate and land use, climate and health, innovation acceleration, just transition, the policies, the financing, the labor market effects, and growth multipliers, together with Living Lab for transformatory co-designing of systems innovation that will get you to climate and resilience and neutrality, and of course, finally, education, training, upskilling, and reskilling. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Phoebe. That was fantastic. Thank you for providing this angle, which we didn't cover before, and I think it's key to have this financial perspective also. So fantastic. Thank you so much, Phoebe. We are gonna continue with the most exciting part of the event today, which is the award ceremony. We are very thankful for everyone who participated today, and especially to the solutions providers and the jury members, which also they've been evaluating the videos and the Q&A, and they are now ready to give us the final evaluation decision. We have here Stella Apostolaki as representative of one of the jury members, and she will give us some insights into the decision of the 2 winners, and also what kind of came up in the process. No, what did you discuss? Thank you, Stella.
Thank you. I had been, let's say, chosen to be the spokesperson of the jury. I think that was because I was the only woman in the jury. So probably that's why the colleagues have chosen me. I would first like to start by congratulating all the solution providers. I think everyone would like to join me in congratulating them, because they came up with very nice and concrete solutions. And to say that all of them, they were very close in the scoring, but there were just 2 that they got slightly higher scoring than the others. So these are the 2 ones that I'm going to announce. So in the second prize is going to Watershed. Watershed is a very nice proposal. This is what we discussed in the jury. It is a proposal, I remind to the rest of the people about algal blooms, blooms of cyanobacteria. The group that developed the Watershed idea defined the problem very well. They have taken into account many different parameters that may affect the problem. They seem to know the weaknesses of their proposal, and this is very, very good. There are very small weaknesses, but they are aware of them, and this is a very good point for their further development. Very well thought business plan. So congratulations to Watershed for winning the second prize from the jury.
Sorry. Can you hear me, or I don't know?
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and it's a really great ending for this program that I really appreciated. I'm from the university background, and this is the first time that I'm in businesses, we'll say, and I learned a lot thanks to the program, and thank you very much for the jury and for the program. I'm really glad.
We are glad too.
Thank you.
Thank you too. So going to the first prize, the first prize winner is Egir. You will forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it well. So it is the suggestion about the Kraken software, which is again a very well thought solution, a software that is managing very well. It seems to manage very well to address the problem of water shortage in engineering. It is a proposal on water distribution networks and on improving water efficiency. It seems as a very helpful tool for architects, engineers, water managers, a very good business plan, a very, very well thought placement of your idea in the market. So you seem to know the competition very well. So we believe that this idea will further develop. It has very high level of replicability and scaling up. So congratulations for winning the first prize.
Well, thank you very much. And your pronunciation was on point. So it's perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much to both.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are now ready to give the floor to Thomas, representative from the IAF and also the problem holder of this competition. And he will be giving the special prize to one of the innovators. So the floor is yours, Thomas, to let us know your decision. Thomas, we cannot hear you. There must be some problem with your audio or the mute. Try again. I don't know if it's just me or the connection is a bit flaky. I'm afraid we cannot hear you. I think he left and he will try to rejoin shortly. Otherwise, I guess, Eva, who's here with me from Climate-KIC. Okay.
Yeah, let's give a chance to Thomas. I think we need to wait for him. He's such an
Here we are.
inspiring speaker.
Hello?
That I don't want. Thomas, yes, we can hear you. Perfect.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank you one more time for giving us space to a small authority like us to try to listen to experts, also collaborate with people like Eva, like Carmen. I heard the speech from Mr. Del Camara and Mr. Bravas. Skunda. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing her name very well, but every participant, every solution provided, we had one-to-one meetings that were very helpful, and every solution really fits to a variety of problems we're facing in a daily basis. One of the key elements that we're at the moment trying to explore is the mechanism that underground water structures supply water to our network of water drills. There's also legislation in Greece and also in the European Union to start preparing studies for water protection zones along the water drills we have. So we are at the moment having two studies with the Aristoteles University of Thessaloniki and other private companies also, and we are trying to figure out how this underground system is working and trying to make models for it. One of key element to this mechanism is also the weather, and we also needed a weather forecast model. So in that context, I think by choosing space crop and the solution Mary Grace has provided us, it is a very good selection for us because it will help us validate our models that we already have and try to enhance this model and also calibrate some of the models we all have already, and also help this model also be calibrated by spacecraft technologies. So we had one-to-one meeting with Mary Grace. He was asking all the questions needed to be answered, and at that time she really go deep, very deep in the Greek reality and how things are currently situated in our authority and our facilities. So congratulations to you, Mary Grace, and Spacecraft Technologies.
Yeah, I'm sorry ahead of time. I just want to give a heads up that I am in a conference right now. But thank you very much to DF and to the InnoWise Scale Up program for giving us the opportunity to further test our model. And I would like to thank you also to the panelists, juries today for raising us questions to further understand how we could improve our model and also our technology solution. And if I wasn't able to respond to some of the questions earlier today, I will get back to them via email if possible. Thank you very much, and we're very excited to implementing our solution. Not only with DF, but also to other regions that have been experiencing water scarcity. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations one more time to all the participants, and you, Mary Grace, for winning the demo prize.
Thank you, Thomas, and congratulations to the winners. I think this was a great event and an amazing opportunity that the EIT program is giving you. So, Eva, the floor is yours to wrap up and say a few final remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you, everyone, and massive congratulations to all the winners, but all the participants who took part in our program during this year. I must say that I think it became very clear to everyone that the climate crisis is ultimately a water crisis, but the kind of solutions that we have seen today really give us hope that a transformation is possible. And answering the question of this event, is it possible for the world? Is the world ready to be fully circular by 2050? I rather hope so, because we should do that earlier than that. Today was the second of the series of this pitching event, so I would very much like to encourage all of you to follow the following events next week with a winemaker, with an industrial company, and also with a small municipality in a Greek island. So again, congratulations to all of you. Thank you for the jury, for the expert evaluation, the participants, and the whole team who is behind this event, the Revolve team, for helping us facilitate the series of pitching events, and also my colleagues from the different KICs, Carmen, Elena, Blanca, Lydia, of course, who was helping me to co-host this event today from Athena Research Center. So well done, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Okay, so as you said, we continue the journey. The third event will happen next Monday, 28th November, same hour at 10 a.m. We will continue exploring new innovations that are not only tackling technology, but actually trying to bring a holistic approach into the water cycle perspective. So we hope that we keep contributing with panelists that can give us their expertise, with the jury members that are also bringing all their knowledge to this. So, and of course, the EIT program in making this happen. So we continue the journey from Monday to Wednesday next week, and we hope to see you there. We keep in touch. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.